for Reburn Fireside Chat. I am going to have Cody Shelton, who happens to be an Emmy-nominated TV producer and also my husband, joining us. And we are going to talk about comic books, the first comic books that we started reading that got us turned on to comics. His, of course, were when he was younger than me, because I can credit Cody with first getting me into comics. And he should be here. He is.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, long time no see.
You're the other side of the.
Yes, I was just saying that we're going to talk about the first comics that we loved, and that Cody and I have been together for over 20 years. And when we first got together, he was a comic book fan, and I thought that was funny. And I wasn't really into comics. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Yeah. And I just kind of thought comics were like, for boys, and were superheroes, and weren't really something I was interested in. And Cody was very thoughtful and introduced me to books that had more to offer for me and others. And I didn't want to talk about that, but I also wanted to talk about, what did Cody read growing up? What were the first comics that he loved?
Well, and now you're creating your own comics.
This is true.
Right.
So I have you to thank you for so much. Because if he hadn't introduced me to comics and I hadn't taken to them, we wouldn't be here now. But some of the first comics I read, which I'm holding right here, we have collected. We have the single issue somewhere, but those are a little harder to dig out. So, Y the Last Man and Alias, which we all know now as Jessica Jones. But at that time, it was Alias. And there's still two comics that I still love dearly. And I recently reread Y the Last Man, and it still really spoke to me.
And there's a show, a TV show.
There was.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, let me talk. I'll talk about. Let me talk about. I do have a question. You have a question, by the way.
Oh yes. What did I think of the show Y the Last Man? I was just going to leave that there. For me personally, I was a big fan of the comics, and I think it's a difficult property to adapt because of the humor, and because it is apocalyptic adjacent, and it didn't have any of that, and I missed it. And Yorick is such a hard character, the main character of Y the Last Man. The book, he was not the main character of the show, but because he is sort of this man child, like that's who he is. But I felt like the show made him insufferable, and I don't find him to be insufferable in the books. Did you feel that way, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was just definitely missing the humor. I agree with that. So, we'll have to. We haven't finished it. I don't know if we ever will.
Well, he just said, yeah, I've read the comics many times, and the show was a bit of a chore to get through. And it's like,
yeah, it was
yeah.
Really dark, bad way. It was missing that funny part of what kind of offset what was the horrible things that had happened in the comics were offset so well by York's humor.
And and 355, and just her. I mean, it retained her sort of frustration and irritation with York, but it was different. I understand that it was a challenging property to adapt, and I give all the props to those people. I'm not saying they did a bad job. It was just something that for me it missed like the essential pieces that drew me to the book to begin with. So, but you kind of choose. I think that's actually one of the hardest things about adapting something as epic as Y the Last Man is. You have to choose what you're gonna do.
Oh, sorry. Funny story. I worked in the same building where the writer's room for Y the Last Man was for a short time. So they were like upstairs and I was downstairs. Anyway,
well, that was one of the iterations. It wasn't that one, was it? The one that actually aired?
That was one that actually aired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was actually that one. Okay, so I'll jump in and talk about my sort of initial comic that grabbed me. So when I was
Hi, Russia.
when I was okay, I actually got them out. I dug them out of the boxes, and so because I knew you were going to ask me this question. So here's one, and this is obviously Wolverine. You can see there Wolverine fighting Silver Samurai. This is Wolverine sort of solo series that they did. It's after he was in X-Men for years, but he sort of pretends to be this character, or I don't know if pretends the right word, but he assumes the identity of a character named Patch, and he goes to the island of Madripoor, and they miss Patch, and he gets into all kinds of altercations, and he saves people, and he gets in the middle of smuggling rings, and all kinds of stuff goes on. But you can see him in this issue where he's actually wearing the patch. See him or in the patch there?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And he's fighting a guy named Roughhouse and another blood. So there you go. So Wolverine was one of those that I read and I really got into. And then the other one that I wanted to mention was called another Marvel comic is Excalibur. These are both written by Chris Claremont, the legendary Chris Claremont. The art in this is by Alan Davis, and you can see it's just really beautiful art. He still is a currently producing artist, and this book just at the time when I was like whatever I was in that middle schooler, really sucked me into the idea of international sort of superheroes. This Captain Britain here is from England, and Nightcrawler's German, and the Phoenix, I don't know where exactly. Another time, I believe. Anyway, so this is a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed this book. I don't know what ended up happening to it, but I mean, I think that it's like kind of been rebooted a few times. But those are the two that I wanted to share. But I also wanted to show you this. This was, I think, the first comic book I ever owned. This is Amazing Spider-Man. What number is this? Number 324. The cover by Todd McFarlane. And the interior art is by Eric Larson, who is another comic artist that I still follow. And
you are a big Eric Larson fan. I feel confident saying that.
So anyway, so those are some books, and if you want to, I have others here we can talk about if you want. But this is one that we both kind of bonded over. This is a book called Sleeper that we both read in the time when it came out in the early 2000s. This is by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, who have gone on to be, have their own creator-owned properties that they've done for years. And just really great stuff. And so those are a few of the books that sort of spoke to me and kind of got me hooked. I know back in 1989, some of these, and then I, took a break and there from a lot of the 2000s, but I mean a lot of the 90s, and then I came back in the early 2000s with stuff like Why the Last Man and Sleeper and Alias.
Yes, we do like Dark Horse comics.
Yes.
Very much.
Yes. Read a lot of Hellboy. I've read a lot of Hellboy. We read Black Hammer. We still currently read Black Hammer by Jeff Lemire, which is great. We really enjoy that. And what other Dark Horse? Oh, Usagi Yojimbo used to be a Dark Horse. Now it's another publisher.
We got a lot of Usagi and Hellboy and Black Hammer. And all the Black Hammer spinoffs. Which now there's a few. I'm sure there are other ones. Those are the ones that jump to mind. But
Hellboy, BRD, those like that whole
yeah. I don't speak Russian. That was a question. Neither does Cody. Nightcrawler is a great X-Men. We have been talking about X-Men around here, obviously, because now it can potentially be part of the MCU. So we're wondering what direction that's going to take. We talk a lot about the MCU here.
Yeah, but with our kids. We can't imagine that there will be very long before there will be a Wolverine in the MCU, right? Because how much money is that going to bring in? A lot.
Yeah. I mean, and I think obviously Jean Grey. I mean, there's just a lot of really exciting.
Oh, and Jared, question. I'll answer this first.
Mm-hmm. I do not speak Russian.
Still don't.
Still don't speak Russian.
Don't
Still
work.
no, didn't learn it.
But Ed Brubaker, obviously. Also, I like Tom King. I think he's very interesting. He's doing a lot of cool stuff now. Jeff Lemire, Kelly Thompson, are big ones for me. What about you, Alyson? Who are your?
Brian K. Vaughan and Kelly Thompson. I think I would say those are my two because Black Widow, and I can't wait for Saga to come back. So those are the two that when he comes back from the stack, because he is the comic book store person who goes, and because that's like his going to the barbershop or whatever. And Black Widow is always my first one that I read. It's the top of the stack.
Yeah. Brian K.
I
Vaughan.
had a feeling you might say that, Jeremy, if you've read Y the Last Man a bunch of times. So, and
Oh, Brian.
Saga, and I really enjoyed Paper Girls. I mean, I like him. I'm a fan for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And Chip Zdarsky is one that I've been reading.
yeah.
Yeah. And any Brian Michael Bendis. There you go. Another Brian. Brian. We the MCU a lot around here, and we were going to talk about it here today. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to ask?
Well, I mean, it's been 10. We have so much to talk about. I mean, quickly, I think what is your favorite MCU movie, Cody? That's a hard question, but one of our kids brought us a little thing that you can like rank your films this weekend. So we were attempting to rank them. What was your number one?
I had a hard time. Do we consider the Spider-Man movies to be part of the MCU?
I mean, that one did.
Wow.
I mean, I guess I don't know how purists feel, but I do love those movies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that before that movie came out, I think it would be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which
Yeah.
we are rewatching currently.
I like those characters.
Yeah.
Rocket and Groot. Yeah. Anyway. So.
And it's holding up well because sometimes when I rewatch things, I don't feel quite as officially they are canon. I agree they are officially canon. As this is their conversations that we have because they do fall in the timeline and they contribute to the timeline. So we can count those.
So you can even like the first Spider-Man movie now, the one with Tobey Maguire. Does that count?
I mean, that was the meme, right? Like Toby being like, "Hey, I was the first MCU movie." I love the second. I'm sorry, the names of the Spider-Man movies. Far From Home.
Yeah.
Is that Far From Home? Okay, Too Much Home. I love that one, and I love Black Panther. I go back to how I felt when I saw Black Panther in the theater, and it was similar to how I felt when I saw Wonder Woman. It was like, this is like such a powerful new world that I'm being introduced to visually, and I felt like the craft in it was just off the charts. So
they built the whole world,
Wakanda was just incredible. So I look forward to see where they go with it now. I mean, with Shuri and
Jeremy's favorite is Avengers.
which one?
The first one, the original.
Okay.
They all come together in battle. Well, yeah, and I think the Loki Hulk stuff is
That's funny.
You can't.
We're always there for the comedy, or I'm always there for the comedy. I am grateful for it, and I appreciate writers who have a sense of humor. So I think. Do you have anything else you want to say, Cody? We're wrapping up.
I know we're wrapping up. Well, this was fun. This is fun, Jeremy. Thanks for bringing the
so many great questions. Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. And Jess will be back next week, and then I'll be back in 2 weeks. We are going to continue to do these. So if you have questions or thoughts or someone you want to see on here, let us know. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining us.
Of Hawkeye and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Okay.
Yeah. I think Hawkeye was the family favorite across the board, everyone. And I'm sure maybe, Jeremy, you've read those comics, the Fraction comics. And I think it was, it felt, my kid and I read those together, and it felt pretty true. And it really like held on to what was great about those comics. So that was fun to see. So this was more fun than doing work. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you.